Hola vikingos, ¿cómo están? Bienvenidos a mi canal. Mi nombre es Pame y soy una mexicana que vive en Noruega. El día de hoy estamos de nuevo en la ciudad de Ålesund y hoy vine aquí porque voy a entrevistar a una persona y el tema de hoy creo que les va a gustar bastante. Entonces, acompáñenme. Y aquí estamos con un fotógrafo que se llama Iwan Groot. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you please tell us about yourself?
My mom is Norwegian, my father is Dutch. I grew up in West Africa, in Ivory Coast and Senegal. So for me coming to Norway and living here, I get to see things in a different light than most Norwegians would, because I see how spectacular certain aspects are that Norwegians might take for granted. So that also has allowed me to try to emphasize some of the beauty from around this area. One of the motivations for me to start with photography was to show off beautiful Norway so my friends would come and visit me. Not too successful in that yet, but I still enjoy making lots of nice photos. I especially like doing night photography as it has different techniques and is a little bit more demanding and unique of images. Not everybody can do night shots, so that's why I really like it, and I just love stargazing. I can lay underneath the stars for hours. And then another nice thing about the night here in Norway is when it's dark, there is a pretty good chance of seeing northern lights. We're not too far up in the north, so we just get kind of we normally get it along the northern horizon. We don't usually get it above us, but maybe once a month or something we get it right above us, and that is quite a show. I like them anyway, even if they're very faint. Back to myself, I'm 22. Yeah, I live in Ålesund. I've lived in 3 different places here in Norway since I've come here, all around Ålesund. The hobby I had as a child was usually painting or drawing. So the art and creative process has always kind of been in me, and I've had great parents that supported me and helped me with supplies and helped me produce that creative process, as well as some great art teachers that helped me really develop skills. But then when I graduated from school, my mom suggested I get a camera, and I didn't really want to spend the money on a camera. But she convinced me, and since then I started buying more and more lenses, more and more tripods, more and more equipment.
So, do you remember when was the first time that you saw the Northern Lights, and what did you felt about it?
The first time, it was during a Christmas break, and I dragged my family out onto this little island called Bjørnøya, and like I had been following the forecast and stuff, and it was kind of a faint show. It was mainly just a glow to the horizon, and you could see a little bit of movement and stuff, but it was very slow. And my family were kind of disappointed, but I loved it. That was also the first time I captured a photo of the Milky Way with the Northern Lights. I just loved how it came forward in the photo more than what I saw in real life. Not because that gave me a false view of it, but it helped me realize what actually was there that I wasn't seeing, because our eyes aren't the best at seeing at night. When I look at night shots, I trust the photos more than I trust my vision, in a sense.
And you mentioned that you use a forecast. Can you explain please what that is?
Well, the forecast of the Northern Lights is based on the sun. The sun has storms on the surface of it, causing different reactions and explosions, and those different explosions emit different protons and electrons and different molecules and stuff throughout space, and they usually are from a certain spot on the sun. For example, if there was a really strong storm today, there would probably be a very strong storm in a month from now as well. And then it might go up or it might go down depending on how the storm is working. But generally, the months kind of reflect one another. There are NASA observers as well as other forecast observers that will look at the sun through different filters and cameras and lenses and stuff, and look at what is happening. Electrons, protons, and different molecules that are coming from the sun, they won't travel as fast as light, so we can see what is happening on the sun before those molecules will hit us, and they can give us a 72-hour or 48-hour or 24-hour warning of when it's going to happen.
So, are you saying that we can actually see the northern lights during all year, or is there any specific season when they happen more often?
They happen all year, but here in Norway, during the summer, it's always light, so we can't see them. The northern lights are happening all the time, but the best month for it, most people will agree that it is March. The winter is the most common one for people to go looking out for northern lights, but I think that is mainly due to that there are such long nights and there is so much darkness that you can wait around a lot longer for the lights to show up.
Which kind of equipment or advice would you recommend for a person who has no experience taking pictures with these kind of settings? For example, there's a lot of people that obviously comes to Norway only to see the northern lights, and of course not all of them are going to be able to have a fantastic picture. But is there a way for an amateur photographer to get a good picture?
Tripod. The camera isn't as important. The camera, yes, will make better quality. If you have a tripod, then you at least can take stable shots where there isn't any shake. Good place to start out with taking a photo of a northern light is having a long exposure time, like 20-30 seconds, and then bumping up your ISO all the way as high as you can go, and then opening your aperture as wide as you can go. And then if that is too bright, or if you don't like how grainy it is, or if there are other aspects that you don't like of the photo that you took, then you can adjust to that. Another thing that a lot of beginners will find hard with taking photos at night is getting things in focus. So what I do is I use the live view, and I will use a manual focus and try to focus on a star, one of the brightest stars I find. And then I'll turn it on manual focus and make sure that it doesn't move from that point, and I'll just shoot with that all night.
So you also like to go camping during the night, right?
Yes, the night is the best time to go camping. In the summertime is actually the most boring time for me to go camping because there's no stars, no northern lights and stuff. So I like going out in the night because there's so many things you can photograph at night, and it's very special. And I love looking at the stars, seeing the Milky Way, as well as the northern lights. I find the night more interesting.
For example, you have this picture to show us. Can you please tell us the story behind it?
This photo where I'm standing looking up towards the sky. It was at the end of a shoot, and I had already shot about 1,000 photos. It was one of the strongest storms I'd ever seen, and it's one of the only nights where I've seen that many colors as this photo. The thing is, when you are taking a photo of the northern lights, it will show more colors than what our eyes would see. Our eyes at night don't provide a good enough vision. When our eyes filter light through red, green, and blue light, and the red light is almost non-existent at night. The green, that is the one that it functions about 50% maybe, and the blue only is 9% of our normal vision. So it's a very small amount of our vision, and at night, because there is so little light, it usually exaggerates. So green and blue are the easiest colors to see. So a lot of people will think that when I take a photo of the northern lights, it's lying and it's not showing what we actually saw. But what we actually saw wasn't the full picture. It wasn't the real thing. Actually, we only saw the certain colors of it. And yeah, on that picture, I also had a 10-second exposure. I didn't want to do it too long because I wanted to get some of the dramatic action that was happening in the shots, as well as I was standing in it, and in order to get a sharp picture of myself, I didn't want to have a very long exposure where I'm freezing and shivering and moving in the photo. And then the photo was taken close to my feet, straight up, so that I could get a nice view of the night sky. Well, this picture that I'm talking about is a picture that I made an article of myself for a Norway travel guide. I wanted people, tourists especially, that were visiting Norway to still enjoy the Northern Lights, because I had recently read an article about how the Northern Lights photos are lying to us. And I didn't like that article because it told us how the photos are different from our eyesight, but it didn't show it didn't tell us how our eyesight was that bad at night, and that's why photos at night are so much more colorful. And I wanted people to know that even though you might not see something, it doesn't mean it's not there, because there are some amazing colors at night in the Northern Lights.
Is there something else that you would like to add?
Well, if you want to find any of my work, basically you can just Google my name and I'll be the first 4 pages of Google. But yeah, on Facebook or on Instagram, 500px, Flickr, whatever, you can just search my name, and most probably the only result, as my name is quite uncommon. I also have a website, iwangroot.com, and yeah, looking forward to the future of more photography to be made.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Espero que les haya gustado este video. No se olviden de darme like, de suscribirse a mi canal y de seguirme en todas mis redes sociales. Nos vemos a la próxima. Ha det bra!
At night our vision is so bad.
I'm so sorry.
No, they probably recognize me. I feed birds all the time, so they come whenever I sit down somewhere.
Podemos ver esa cosa gigante que casi nos ataca. Es que el señor de atrás les está dando de comer.